Hello, welcome to the Roundhouse podcast with Paul Solentrop of Wichita State University Strategic Communications. Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate your time. Our guest is Wichita State baseball assistant coach, catching coach Collin Wilber. Collin joined the staff in August. He comes to Wichita State from Sonoma State University, an NCAA Division II school in California. Recently, he also coached at Sacramento City College and in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. Collin taught collegiately at Christopher Newport University and at the Apprentice School, where he studied pipe fitting, and I can't wait to talk about that later in the podcast, so stick with us. Collin, why take the job at Wichita State?
Yeah, so after this past year, Sonoma State actually dropped all athletics 2 weeks before we started our season, so I knew I was going to be on the job hunt and was really hoping for an opportunity like this. Kind of waiting around for a couple of months, just hoping something would happen, and then just got lucky enough that BG was calling around looking for a catching guy, and my name came up a lot. We had a quick conversation, and pretty quickly clicked and felt good on both sides, and yeah, now we're here.
It feels like a turning point in a young person's career. Were you were locked in, you wanted to stay in baseball?
Yes, yeah, for sure. After I left the Pirates organization, professional baseball can be a hard lifestyle, coaching, playing, all of it. I was coaching in North Carolina. My now wife was in California, so it was just like, how long are we going to do this? So made the move out to California, got in with Sac City and then Sonoma State, but then was kind of hoping to make a jump to the Division I level and see where it went.
Why did you get into coaching as a career?
Honestly, when I got done playing, I thought that I would have zero interest in coaching. And then I actually hurt my ankle playing pickup basketball the weekend after I got done playing. And my old travel ball coach roped me into coaching with him and helping him out. And then the same thing with my old high school coach. And it just really quickly fell in love with it, and I hated pipe fitting. So that was a pretty easy decision. And after a year of doing it at the high school level and travel ball, just was like, I need to go all in on this, and I loved it. So it was an easy choice, really.
So what was your hesitancy about getting into coaching, and then what flipped the switch?
I don't think I was really hesitant. It was just probably something I hadn't even really considered. Just the abundance of information and social media and all the things that are out there now. Like there's really no excuse if you're willing to put in the work to find good information to give to players. And this isn't a shot at coaches I had or anything, but I just don't think I had really realized how much there was out there to give and to learn. And I think I just fell in love with that process of just trying to get better and learn more.
So you came up, played at smaller schools, coached at smaller schools, coached in high school, which is a different path than we might find with a lot of assistant coaches at a Division I school. How has that shaped your coaching style?
Yeah, I honestly think it's been like the biggest blessing for my coaching career. I coach catchers almost exclusively now. I help with the hitters, but catching's really the passion. When I got done playing, and naturally you're the catcher, you played catcher your whole life, so they stick you with catchers, and I realized really quickly that I knew nothing about how to coach catchers. I had just got stuck back there one day, and you got a good arm and you throw people out, and no one's really going to say anything to you, as long as you're a good dude and good teammate. And that just stuck out, like how little information that I could actually give to the players, and I just like desperately wanted to learn more about it.
Who are your coaching mentors?
That's a good question. I would say Jerry Weinstein is a big one, Sacramento City College legend. He's been in professional baseball for like 40-something years or something stupid like that, and just the model for the things that we're talking about as far as like continuing to get better and just learning every day. I would say he's probably the biggest one.
You mentioned coaching catchers. Is that a position that kind of got the last choice for years and years and now is becoming more prominent as far as we need somebody on staff who can really help these guys?
Yeah, 100%. I think it It always has been, in a lot of ways I think still is. There's not many schools who are hiring a guy like me as this third assistant. I think normally they hire him in a player development, director of operations role and sneak them onto the field to work with their catchers. But I think it's pretty rare that you see, a third assistant that's dedicated just to catching.
So you worked with Henry Davis. He was the top pick in the 2021 Major League Draft. You worked with him while you were in the Pirates organization. What stands out about working with Henry Davis? He made his big league debut in 2023 with the Pirates.
Yeah, Henry was you think about mentality and not crazy in a bad way, but obsessed. And you think about a Kobe Bryant type of mentality. You hear all those videos and stuff, and that was Henry Davis, to a T. He was extremely intelligent, wanted so bad to be good, not just for himself, but for his teammates. And I honestly think it rubbed people the wrong way at times. But I think when you really got down to just understand him and his path and his drive, it was really just all out of he wanted to be the best. He wanted the Pirates to be the best. So I learned a lot from my time with Henry, for sure.
A lot of people would describe catchers as kind of a crazy person's position. You're back there, you're taking a lot of beatings from pitches, all that kind of stuff. Maybe don't get a whole lot of credit or attention back there. Why play catcher? What made you a catcher?
Yeah, for me, well, really, I just got stuck back there. It wasn't much of a conversation when I initially started. I think I was around 11 or 12, and was playing short, third, pitching, whatever. And then we had a couple of our catchers get hurt in a tournament or whatever, and I got stuck back there and just never left. But yeah, I think it just I think naturally I'm pretty selfless and care about my teammates, and was always, maybe not categorized as this big vocal leader, but a guy who just did the right things and set the right example, and not necessarily with the voice, but, just doing the right things. So I think that was kind of a natural transition for me.
So most conversations with catchers, you get to the phrase, I'm involved in every play and I enjoy being busy. Was that part of the appeal for you?
I think so. Maybe not even consciously, but I think it's fun to be really invested in every pitch. I would go play summer ball or whatever in college and randomly get stuck in the outfield or third base or first base, and I was like, man, this is freaking boring. It's just catching. You're so dialed in, and you have to be. And I think it made separating offense and defense a whole lot easier, because you just really don't have any choice. You got to get locked in for not only yourself, but for your teammates and for the team.
When a pitcher was struggling, did you have a go-to phrase or philosophy that you would say after you walked out to the mound in a tough spot?
I think more often than not it's just trying to keep it lighthearted and, try to get him to crack a smile. And, I think very rarely does the go out there and really give it to him and get on him hard really work, because most more often than not, a lot of these guys are their biggest critics, so more than anything it's kind of a pat on the back and try to make them laugh and let's go get this guy.
There are cameras everywhere in almost every baseball park of any substance around this country. A lot of cameras, video, analytics. How has that changed the catching position?
Oh, I mean, it's changed it dramatically. Thinking about the last 10, 15 years in catching, especially with the analytics and being able to quantify pitch framing now. Clearly you watch any big league game now, it's changed everything. There's guys on a knee, guys trying to move the ball and move it aggressively and quickly. It's changed everything. And, I never saw video of myself catch one time, and now our guys see it every day. And it's probably our main resource as far as coaching is the video and how it matches up to what the metrics and the data say.
Describe the importance of pitch framing. How real is it in winning baseball games?
It's huge. You just think about, even in the course of one at bat, going, you get an 0-0 borderline pitch and you make it 0-1 versus 1-0. You take the 1-1 and make it 1-2 versus 2-1, or you end an at bat with a strike three. And it's a battle literally for every pitch, and you don't know which one is going to be, the big one that can really swing the game. So it's really just it's such a bigger demand on catchers now than I feel like it was when I was playing. If you caught the ball and you blocked it and you threw guys out and you were a good dude, no one was really going to say anything to you. But now it's a battle for every single pitch. Absolutely.
And then when did that start to change? 10 years ago, 15 years ago? I feel like I've been hearing about it for a while.
I want to say about 10 years ago was when pitch framing really started to get quantified, but I think teams and specifically like major league organizations viewed it as something like we could just buy this guy that does this really well versus, actually trying to develop it. And now I think it's something that, most of the organizations in baseball do really well and are like really care about it. So it's been cool to see. And just like the amount of catching coaches that have emerged from this like new birth of catching, where it's become very different. It's like cool and it's exciting to see the guys who come here that are really excited to like get better at catching versus I feel like even when I played, or probably even still for some of these guys now, it felt like a burden to have to work on catching, like, oh, we're going to go block and get beat up. But now it's like it's fun and it's a skill.
Has the video and the emphasis on pitch framing, has that changed the job descriptions? Are you looking for different skills, different athletic abilities than maybe you were 20 years ago?
I don't think so. I think, for the most part, you're still looking for guys that can swing, that can hit. Obviously, that's probably the biggest part, looking for guys that can hit, guys that are athletic. I don't think you see as many of, like, the really stiff, big-bodied guys behind the plate as much as you did probably in the past, where you could kind of hide them back there, for lack of a better term. I think it's become really athletic. It's very similar to like a shortstop or a center fielder. Like that kind of guy is the guy that you want back there. But I also think you can see like vast differences. We have Finn, who's 6'4", and Dom, who's 5'9", and both can do things really well and do it differently, but produce the same result.
Do you ever anger umpires who say, I know what you're trying to do and I'm not falling for that strike stealing stuff?
Yeah, I've heard it a bunch. I used to post a lot on social media. I haven't done as much of it as I'd like to in my time here, but I want to get back into it. And I used to fight those battles with people and umpires and all that stuff. I think the reality is like they know what we're doing, and sometimes most of the time it still works, and it's we're trying to do our job and they have to do their job.
If I'm a dad of a young catcher listening to this, do you have a short course, 2 or 3 tips on how do I help my son or daughter steal some strikes?
Yeah, I would say a lot of, first like get in a good stance, mess around with all the different stances, explore the knee down stuff, but really get good at being stable, being low to the ground, and working from below the ball and catching it on the way up is probably the biggest thing. But I would say the second biggest thing is just be open to it and try it. I think the start is what stops most people. It's like, well, I don't know where I'm going to get to if I start going down this path. And it's like, no, just go. Just start somewhere, and you'll find your way. There's a lot of good information out there from good catching people, Instagram, Twitter, and all that. There's a lot of good information out there now.
And they should follow Collin Wilber on social media to get that'd be a good place to start. So this ability that we have now to measure catching skills, teach these skills, has that made the defensive side of the position more important?
Yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily more important, but there's definitely like a higher expectation. I think it's in reality it's always been this important. We just probably didn't know as much as we did 15, 20 years ago, as far as we literally have a probability of every pitch being called a strike, and at a percentage, and And I think it's just more under the microscope now, and wasn't as much so back then.
So let's say you go to a baseball showcase for recruiting, or maybe you've got 5 videos of potential catchers. What characteristics are you looking for that would lead you to say this guy can turn into a pretty good framing or strike stealing kind of guy?
Yeah, it's tough because I think those things can emerge from, I've seen a lot of big transformations, whether it's they, have never done a knee down stance, or, they were coached this way, they have to be on 2 feet, they weren't allowed to move the ball and do all these things. And that can be a really good thing, where they haven't had this coaching and now they're really excited to jump into it and can catch on to it really quickly. And it can go the other way where maybe they're really into it and maybe just not going about it the right way, and that can help. So I'd say more than anything, just like athleticism, the ability to get in and out of positions quickly and efficiently, and being able to throw and hit. For me, I feel like I can teach the rest of it.
4 catchers on the Wichita State roster, all of them new to the program: Ethan Gonzalez, Max Coffer, Finn Kayala, am I pronouncing that right?
Yep.
And Dominic Archilla. Give us a brief scatter report on each of the shocker catchers.
Yeah, so Max, transfer from Texas A&M and South Carolina, really smart dude. He is such an interesting personality. He is every bit the meathead, jokester that he looks like he would be, but also like such an intelligent dude and very driven, really works hard, and really just excited to see where this year takes him. As far as Gonzo, like crazy numbers at Blinn last year, has worked really hard this fall, defensively. Very new to a lot of the stuff that we're teaching here as far as the catching side, and I think we've just scratched the surface from what we can see from him. I would say very similar for Finn. Finn got the hit by pitch to the hand a couple months ago, so really has been out and really has only been able to catch, sparingly, and now he's kind of into doing bullpens, but more than anything, it's like trying to keep his frickin' hand out of the way and not let anything get worse. But yeah, really just excited to see him in game action, and see what it looks like. But definitely a ton of potential there. And then Dom, very similar to Ethan, where it was like, I think he came in, never been on a knee, never really been taught much of anything from a catching standpoint, and has just done nothing but get better. We're really excited about him and just the progress he's made. He's coming out of his shell a little bit. He's a pretty quiet dude, similar to me, honestly. So it's just been fun to watch him grow and continue to get better.
Earlier this fall, you put out a call on social media for bullpen catchers. I was skeptical. I didn't think there was any way there was a critical mass of people walking around this campus who, 1, had the catching skills, and 2, wanted to devote all the time to it. You got a lot of response. Tell us about the one ad for bullpen catchers and how that all turned out.
Yeah, well, it started with we were banged up on the catching side. Finn went down with the hand, and you get one more guy hurt, and now you're down to 2 catchers, and we're trying to inter squad, and we got 15 pitchers who've got to warm up to go into the game, and we just didn't have the bodies to do it. So getting a bullpen catcher was crucial for us. And honestly, I did not expect to have as many people who reached back out as happened. So it was pretty cool to just see the amount of people that wanted to be involved.
How many roughly responded?
I want to say, probably 15 to 20. Yeah, it honestly got to be too much, where I was like trying to set up tryouts and all this stuff, and I had to kind of just cut it off. But yeah, we've got 4 guys. One, JoJo, who's here every day. Cam, who's pretty much here every day, and then Trevor and Hawk, who are both here whenever they can be, with their class and work schedules. But they've been awesome. They're really on top of the communication with me and being here as often as they can. And yeah, it's a very thankless job and a lot of times not very fun, but I think they just love being out here. It's really cool to see.
And Jojo Nieves has made a big impression. Tell us a little bit about his backstory and what he's done in his short time as a Shocker catcher.
Yeah, I mean, Jojo's a rock star. He showed up day one. I had kind of already got some background information from his last coach at MacU that he was going to be a stud and going to be perfect for it. And then, not 30 minutes into him showing up, he was like sweeping turf pellets out of the dugout, and we were like, hadn't seen him catch yet, but this is the guy. Because, that's just what you look for is guys that come in and do right away and are looking for ways to help. And that's him to a T for sure.
Okay, I know people have been waiting for the Apprentice School segment. The Apprentice School educates shipbuilders. Was this a potential career choice for you?
Yeah, honestly, so after my 2 years at Christopher Newport, I felt like I was just kind of stuck. And, I was doing computer science and, really just did that because it was like, well, I'm smart, been good at school, so this seems like a good thing. I'll make money after I'm done. And hated it. My sophomore year of baseball, it was the first time I had been like the everyday starter and just really struggled offensively, which led to some struggles mentally and just kind of felt like I needed a change. Apprentice school is basically in my hometown, same as Christopher Newport is.
Newport News, Virginia.
Newport News, Virginia, yep. And it's, it was just another way for me to get back into baseball and try a change of scenery. I didn't really want to know what I wanted to do as far as school or career or anything like that. So it was like, well, I can go make money and work at this shipbuilding company and, play baseball on top of it. So I figured, why not? Let's go try it.
Sounds like the start to an NCIS episode where young baseball players found murdered at the apprentice school working on a ship, and then it just goes in all kinds of directions from there. That's very interesting. Favorite professional baseball team?
I'm impartial. There's still some love for the Pirates there for sure, rooting for those guys and those players. But I grew up a Tigers fan, so I got to say Tigers there.
And how'd you get hooked up with the Tigers?
My dad's from Michigan, so been a diehard Detroit everything my entire life.
Do you have a favorite professional baseball player?
I would say it's a tie between Yadier Molina, who kind of came on as I was growing up, and like Pudge Rodriguez when he was with the Tigers for a while. So between those two guys.
Those are good choices. You should have said Andy Dirks, former Shocker, who played for the Detroit Tigers and now does some broadcasting for them.
Hi, this is Rick Muma, president of Wichita State University. Check out the latest episode of the Forward Together podcast. Each episode, I sit down with different guests from Shocker Nation to celebrate the vision and mission of Wichita State University. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Who is the player you most often cite as an example? Send your players videos and say, hey, check this guy out. He does these things really well.
Yeah, there's probably a list of, 3 to 5 that I wear the guys out with. Patrick Bailey is, probably the easy one to point to. He's been the best pitch framer, for the past 3, 4, 5 years
And
now.
he plays for the Giants, San Francisco Giants.
San Francisco Giants. Just really good pitch framer. Alejandro Kirk is another guy I really like to send. He's, not the best athlete if you've seen him at all. 5'9", 270 or something like that. But like elite pitch framer, elite blocker, above average thrower, like really impressive. Dylan Dingler from the Tigers, another guy very similar. Above average in all 3 facets there. Jose Trevino had kind of a down year metrically this year, but over the past few years, one of the best pitch framers and blockers, so another guy I really like to look at.
What is the book, the movie, the podcast that you would recommend all the fans out there?
Yeah, I think the favorite book I've ever listened to, I'm a big audiobook guy and podcast guy, so I don't do a ton of reading, but we'll go with audiobook, is It Takes What It Takes. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Trevor Moawad, I believe, is his name. He was a mental performance coach, basically like personal to Russell Wilson, worked at IMG and a couple other places, Alabama, Georgia, as like a mental performance guy. Really good.
Yes, Andy Staples and Trevor Moawad.
Yeah.
Moawad. It Takes What It Takes.
Yeah.
What did you like about that book?
I think it's so he talks a lot about he's a mental performance guy. I think we in the mental performance space, like probably 10, 15 years ago, it was trying to shift everything into like you have to be super positive all the time and almost like sort of the sense of like fake positivity. And I think he takes it to where it's like thinking about everything it just is what it is. It's neutral. And you can't do anything about the past but learn from it and, think about what you're going to do to solve whatever problem is at hand. So just thinking about everything as kind of a matter of fact rather than trying to get too high or too low or fill yourself with fake positivity. It's just this is what it is and this is what I'm going to do about it.
Collin Wilber, assistant baseball coach / catching coach at Wichita State. Collin, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Roundhouse podcast, courtesy of Wichita State University Strategic Communications. We encourage you to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find more Roundhouse content at GoShockers.com.
Rick Freeling on deck for the Blue Jays. They'll have two cracks to get that runner home from second with one out here in the bottom of the 12th. The run at second, the tying run in the ballgame. Fastball, line to center, base hit. Jim Audley charges it on the hop. They're sending him home. Here comes the throw. It is in time. He's out. He's out at the plate on a sensational throw by Jim Audley. One hop right on the money, and Steve Bruns is dead at home plate, and now there are two down.
Shocker fans, you may look at that Saturday afternoon, that one play, that might be the play to get you the championship ring. What a throw, Mike. It's the big show in Rosenblatt Stadium. He came up throwing, and he threw a strike down Main Street.